comedy show where Americans in America covering American news are called foreign agents. Yeah. Well, I suppose it makes sense that if you're going to call comedians foreign agents, then you might as well call journalists and publishers criminals. As you know, Julian Assange has been arrested and is now locked away in British custody. The U.S. government wants to extradite him for the crime of revealing our crimes. So the crime of showing people our crimes. Yeah. And you have to admit, that is a pretty dick thing for Julian to do. Come on, man. Just let us kill a few 100,000 innocent people without you all blabbing about it. Let us torture some folks. Don't be a narc, man. Just be cool, Jules. So with Assange on the verge of being shipped here to be tortured, now is a good time to go through all of the incredibly important revelations from WikiLeaks. Let's start with the most famous one, the collateral murder video, showing us U.S. aircrew gunning down Iraqi civilians. They murdered between 12 and 18 innocent people, and you can hear on the video, they were having a ball doing it. They were fucking loving it. And two of the people they murdered were Reuters journalists. So you would think maybe Reuters, of all the media outlets, maybe Reuters would pry their head from their ass cheeks and fight for Assange's freedom. But no, their head is firmly planted in there, all right? It's like a vice grip. It's like Joe Biden's hand on a young girl's shoulder, all right? It is on there. 0 people have been arrested for the collateral murders, yet Julian Assange has been arrested for revealing them. Moving on, WikiLeaks brought us the Guantanamo Bay procedures, showing that many of the prisoners were completely innocent and that some were hidden from Red Cross officials. Because, you know, when you're torturing innocent people, you kind of want to do it in peace and quiet, away from the prying eyes. It's very easy to get distracted, and then you lose your place, and then you got to start all over, okay? None of the soldiers torturing innocent people at Gitmo have been arrested for it. Yet Julian Assange has for revealing it. WikiLeaks also came out with the secret Bibles of Scientology, which showed that aliens run the world, or aliens are inside of us, or aliens give us indigestion or something. I can't remember. Anyway, but no one has ever been arrested for perpetrating that nutbag cult, yet Julian Assange has for revealing it. Next up, Tibetan dissent in China. WikiLeaks posted videos of dissidents fighting back, which were not allowed to be viewed in China. And in case you forgot, WikiLeaks does not only open up the truth about the U.S., it has brought transparency around the world. They revealed the Peru oil scandal and that Russia was spying on their citizens' cell phones, and the Minton report on toxic dumping in Africa, and the Syrian file showing the inner workings of the Syrian government. And WikiLeaks showed us a secret Australian Supreme Court gag order that stopped the Australian press from reporting on a huge bribery scandal that involved the central bank and international leaders. This might be why Assange is hated by governments around the world. You know, as much as they may like some transparency from other countries, they don't want their own particular pile of shit on full display. You know, it's kind of like when we laugh heartily after a celebrity has like an upskirt photo published in the tabloids. But at the same time, none of us want upskirt photos of us all over the web. I know I don't, because I'm a lady. No, sir. As far as I know, none of the political figures involved in all those scandals have gone to prison for them, yet Julian Assange has for revealing them. There was also the Iraq war logs, hundreds of thousands of documents relating to America's illegal invasion of Iraq, which we called a war, but I think a war has to have 2 sides, right? There have to be 2 sides. In this case, there was really just the one. You know, Iraq's elite Republican Guard turned out to be 3 guys and a fucking donkey, okay? And the donkey didn't even have good aim. So, as far as I can tell, no one committing the war crimes evidenced in the Iraq war logs has been locked up for them. Yet Julian Assange has for revealing them. WikiLeaks showed us the highly secretive Bilderberg Group meeting reports. The Bilderberg Group is made up of incredibly powerful men and women getting together and deciding how to rule over all of us unwashed masses while sitting on thrones made from the bones of the babies of the non-believers. And the Bilderberg Group are often accused of being lizard people, but really they're just regular old sociopaths with like lizard skin that they purchased from a plastic surgeon in Malibu for like $500,000. So it's a lot less sci-fi and a lot more, gross. I don't think anyone from the Bilderberg Group is being tortured in solitary confinement right now, yet Julian Assange is for revealing who they are. The Barclays Bank tax avoidance scheme that netted Barclays £1 billion a year. While they were ordered to pay $500 million in lost taxes, no one was arrested for that theft from citizens. Yet Julian Assange was for revealing it. The Afghan War Diaries, which consisted of 92,000 documents related to our destruction of Afghanistan. It detailed friendly fire incidents and civilian casualties. It showed that when reporting their own activities, U.S. units were inclined, or are inclined, to classify civilian kills as insurgent kills, downplay the number of people killed, or otherwise make excuses for themselves. This guy we just killed was an insurgent. How do you know? Because we killed him. Well, why do we kill him? Because he's an insurgent. How do you know? Because we killed him. This is the war that never ends. It just goes on and on, my friends. Some people started waging it not knowing what it was, and they'll keep right on waging it forever just because this is the war that never ends. It goes on, everybody now, it goes on and on, my friends. Some people started waging it not knowing what it was. All right, that's good enough, that's good. I am unaware of anyone, you nailed it though, you nailed it. I'm unaware of anyone locked away for these war crimes, yet Julian Assange is for revealing them. WikiLeaks also unveiled hundreds of thousands of U.S. State Department cables that showed more clearly than ever how our secretive government rules their empire with little to no input from the American people. The cables revealed Secretary of State Hillary Clinton ordering diplomats to spy on French, British, Russian, and Chinese delegations at the UN Security Council. It also showed Arab nations urging the U.S. to strike Iran and much more. Our ruling elite, of course, view this as a massive breach of national security. That's understandable. But that worldview only comes into play if you think the elites are the only ones who should know how our nation is run. Look at that face. Look at that face. Look at that face. Look at it. Look at it. Take it in. Take it in. Look at it. Now tell me you want the ruling elite to be the only ones to know what the fuck is going on. Look at it. The concept of our government was that those foie gras, beer bong, and assholes would be accountable to us, to you and to me, to the workers and the number crunchers, to the single moms and the fluffers at the porn sets. We're supposed to vote based on our knowledge of how our government is functioning. But if all our representatives are secretly, performing bestiality in a basement somewhere, and that fact is considered top secret for national security purposes, we aren't really an informed populace now, are we? Right? So for all that was unveiled in the State Department cables, no one has been locked up, but Julian Assange has for revealing it. The Stratfor emails, this was millions of emails that showed how a private intelligence agency was used by its U.S. corporate and government clients to target activists and protesters. No one in Stratfor is locked away, but Julian Assange is for revealing it. Then there's the trade deals, TPP, TISA, TTIP. All three amount to one of the largest attempts at corporate takeover ever conceived. All three were more secretive than the ending of Game of fucking Thrones, all right? They were decided in private by government leaders and corporate lawyers and lobbyists. The only organization to show us some of these documents before they were made into law was WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks made us aware of the corporate restraints that were about to be placed on us. And that's what allowed activists to pressure Trump to pull out of the TPP. None of those corporate goons are imprisoned for their attempted power grab, but Julian Assange is for revealing it. Then there's the DNC emails and the Podesta emails. I'll explain for those of you who have been living in a cave that itself is inside a yellow and blue makes green sealed Tupperware container. The DNC emails showed us just how rigged the Democratic primaries really are. They proved media, financial, and organizational rigging in favor of the Hillary campaign. They even showed that Obama's entire first-term cabinet was selected by Citibank. Citibank! I'd rather have his cabinet decided by the pus oozing out of Darth Vader's face or Vince McMahon or some shit. Whatever election integrity movement there is right now owes a lot to those revelations by WikiLeaks. After being brought to court over this, by the way, the DNC's lawyers admitted the DNC has no obligation to have fair primary elections. It's their right to rig them. But don't try to get angry over this, because if you do, the CIA has ways to fuck up your life. In 2017, WikiLeaks posted a trove of CIA documents called Vault 7. It detailed their capabilities, including remotely taking over cars, smart TVs, web browsers, and smartphones. And after I read that, I was like, all right, fuck it. I'm going full Amish, 100% full Amish. Let's see the CIA hack my butter churn, all right? Good luck. Are they gonna use backdoor software to get inside my rustic wooden bow saw? And even if they could, are they gonna listen to my conversation about how me bobbling Frau read up for Ruchin round? Ah, Schmunzlov wunderbar. So is anybody at the CIA chained up for violating our privacy in every way they can come up with? No, but Julian Assange is for revealing it. WikiLeaks has helped create movements around the world, like the Arab Spring and Occupy. And don't forget, at first, WikiLeaks and Assange were celebrated for it by the mainstream outlets. In 2011, Amnesty International hailed WikiLeaks as one of the Arab Spring catalysts. The Guardian wrote, "The year 2010 may well be remembered as a watershed year when activists and journalists used new technology to speak truth to power, and in so doing pushed for greater respect for human rights. It is also the year when repressive governments faced the real possibility that their days were numbered." So why did so many outlets and people turn against Assange and WikiLeaks? Because it turned out he wasn't only revealing repressive Arab regimes. He was also revealing US-backed coups and war crimes around the world. He exposed the criminality and villainy of the American ruling elite. Assange has been nominated for multiple Nobel Peace Prizes, and nearly every respected media outlet around the globe has done some reporting at some point based on source material from WikiLeaks. Yet after all this, and after 7 years in captivity, the man who laid bare these criminals and showed each one of us our chains, he and others who helped him reveal the truth are the only ones endlessly punished. But I'm right. That's true. It's true. But I am not here to tell you to stand up for freedom of speech and freedom of information. No, take a load off. Stay there. You should not do that. And whatever you do, don't print out flyers like this and post them around town. Do not do that. Let journalism die in peace and quiet. All right? And do not go to twitter.com/Lee Camp, where you'll find a link for this flyer and then print out thousands or perhaps millions and then post them around town. You can post them on people's faces. It doesn't matter. All over the internet. Do not do that. And definitely don't print out a giant poster like this and put it around here. Do not. I repeat, do not. That would be a terrible thing to do. Instead, let journalism rest in peace. Coming to you from Washington, D.C., the Belly of the Beast is Redacted tonight.
Let's roll, never give them control. They got their money, but we've got our soul. Let's roll, never give them control. They got their money, but we've got our soul.
Welcome, I'm Lee Camp. Now let's take the news from behind. Fox News. Fox News, long loved for their adorable racist commentary and throngs of white women telling the news without any pants on. made a horrible mistake a few days ago that they are getting widely attacked for. Apparently, security was lax, and they allowed a man to gain access to their studio despite the fact that he held beliefs that are neither racist nor beneficial to the billionaires who own our society. It was a tragedy. And then the Fox News host tried to get things back on track, but it was too late. Look.
I want to ask the audience a question. If you could raise your hand here. A show of hands of how many people get their insurance from work, private insurance, right now. How many get it from private insurance? Okay, now of those, how many are willing to transition to what the senator says, a government-run system?
I think that Fox News anchor thought that vote was going to go slightly differently. Only at Fox News would someone think that asking, who wants to stick with your shitty employer health care, which you'll lose the moment you lose your job, would get a tepid response. Anyway, Bernie Sanders killed it on Fox News, and the DNC was not happy. They had tried to ban Sanders from going for understandable reasons. It's not the job of a Democratic nominee for president to educate Trump voters on why policies like Medicare for all and a living wage benefit everyone. No! It is the job of the Democratic nominee to ignore half the country while courting billionaire donors to help fund a losing bid against Donald Trump. I mean, didn't Hillary Clinton teach us anything? Anything? Politicians are supposed to be out of touch and ignorant of the real world around them, you know? Most of our government officials do a tremendous job at this. They really do. Which is why they're doing such an excellent job right now at ignoring the climate catastrophe. Although, one group is continuing to make it a little hard to ignore, both in the US and other countries. This week, UK police arrested over 200 climate activists occupying central London. They're members of the group Extinction Rebellion, who claim to have a problem with human extinction. I mean, that's a bit elitist of you guys, don't you think? If it's good enough for the dodo bird, why isn't it good enough for you, right? Here's a clip from this week's action.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We are live from Waterloo Bridge here in London, where rebels have taken and occupied the bridge and turned it into the Garden Bridge, which we were promised for so many millions for free. They have crowdsourced the Garden Bridge and planted some trees here. We set up a little skate ramp. People are painting the streets with chalk and enjoying a day in the sun.
Enjoying a day in the sun? Painting on the streets? But public spaces are not for the enjoyment of the masses. Public spaces are for cars and trucks to fill the air with suffocating pollution. If you want fun in the sun, go home, all right? Extinction Rebellion is quickly becoming known globally as the first group to unapologetically say they are not going to allow business as usual to continue while we all fly off an environmental cliff. Oddly, their action this week, shutting down the bridges, got a lot more attention than 2 weeks ago when they appeared naked inside the lower house of Parliament. Apparently this is less bothersome than a skate ramp on Waterloo Bridge. But it actually makes sense, you know? This action is not shocking enough for media coverage. I mean, what was the BBC gonna say? Breaking news, there are assholes, dicks, and pussies in Parliament. It's unbelievable. Shocking. Shocking. But no, that is not shocking. Oh, but maybe that is why the women of Fox News are half naked. They are protesting in order to force government action on climate change. Thank you, ladies of Fox. Thank you for caring about the environment. But Extinction Rebellion is showing people that holding a space can be an effective way to have your message heard. And some Washington, D.C. activists that call themselves the Embassy Protection Collective are currently holding a space. The Venezuelan embassy that the Trump administration claims it will hand over to the unelected coup leaders on April 24th, just a few days from now. Embassy Protection Collective. All right, you guys, you need to take a page out of Extinction Rebellion's book. You should all be naked and covered in vegetable oil, okay? Because A, how are the cops gonna grab you like that? too slippery, plus serious Me Too issue, all right? B, not all the Purell in the world would clean that image from the police officer's memories. Tell you that right now. And C, even if they get you out of the embassy, are they really gonna wanna hang out in there when everybody is, everything in there has been coated in oily ball sack? I don't think so. I don't think so. You win. We have to go to a quick break, but I have live comedy shows coming up in Detroit, Chicago, New York, Minneapolis, Montreal, and Washington, D.C. Tickets are at redactedtour.com. Also, you can watch my live stand-up comedy special at leecampcomedyspecial.com. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Tax day was this past Monday, and many major American corporations paid absolutely nothing. But what makes me even angrier is that I couldn't deduct the Zen meditation retreat I went on so I could deal with hearing about shit like this. Here to discuss is our senior taxing person to be around, Naomi Caravani. Naomi, I'm excited to have... Are you literally still doing your taxes? Was that what's going on here?
Lee, I filed in the wrong country. I heard this place was tax-free, but apparently you have to live there. I'm not going to freaking Luxembourg. Imagine identifying as Luxembourgeois. So
I
60,
don't think that's right, but okay.
Yes, of course not. So 60 of the Fortune 500 corporations did not pay taxes this year, and that's more than twice as many as last year. Thanks to the president's Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, what he calls the Cut Act. Don't you love the branding?
No, cut. That's
I'll
what
explain. The Cut Act lowered the corporate tax rate from 35 to 21%. No one ever paid the 35% anyways, thanks to tax havens like Luxembourg and other loopholes. So not only did companies like Chevron and Coors pay nothing, the government now owes them money. IBM had a tax rate of negative 68% and received a $342 million tax refund.
$342 million refund?
Yes. And IBM had revenues of $79 billion this year. They must have cooked their books in a crock pot. Amazing.
Or a crack pipe, perhaps. But so, who will shoulder the tax burden to make up for all these massive giveaways?
People, of course. See, corporations are people too, except when it comes to paying taxes. Amazon is mostly robots anyways. And the robots are desperate to keep their jobs from humans trying to take them. At an Amazon warehouse in New Jersey, a robot attacked workers with a can of bear mace.
An automated machine like this one, used by Amazon to move merchandise, accidentally punctured a can of bear repellent.
There's going to be multiple victims vomiting and feeling ill.
Wow.
I can tell whose side Amazon will take in the impending robot wars. They didn't even punish that robot.
And those employees who had to breathe in bear mace, they pay more taxes than the company they work at?
Well, the way you put it makes it sound unfair. But maybe you should listen to Amazon's side of the story. You know?
I'd love to hear that. Yeah.
The Chop Act expanded specific tax loopholes like the accelerated depreciation loophole. Basically, machines get old and are no longer appreciated. It's so sad. That's also how Delta walked away with a negative 4% tax rate. Their planes will wear out and have to be put in jet retirement homes. I go visit the old aircraft sometimes and sing to them sometimes.
So basically, machines have a more comfortable retirement than humans.
Lee, whose side are you on in the robot wars? I'm with...
Boobies?
Shit, that was supposed to say robots. This machine is so primitive. Amazon also took advantage of the expanded tax break specifically for stock options for executives.
The stock options for executives deduction? Why didn't they just call it charity for the rich?
Well, whatever your opinion of Amazon Prime's The Marvelous Miss Maisel is, too bad your tax dollars are paying for the period costumes. This year, corporations raked in a net tax rebate of $4.3 billion, and this will raise the deficit to $1 trillion by 2022. Even Netflix walked away with a $22 million refund, which still won't make up for the fact that entire villages share a password.
These cuts are gonna make average Americans think the tax system is meant to crush them even more.
Well, then they really understand the system. They good
Nail the
for them.
camera,
They get it.
everyone! We now move from corporations deciding how much they'd like to pay in taxes to corporations deciding how many regulations they would like to have. For more on this, we go to our truth bomb, Natalie McGill.
The phrase, "a fox guarding the henhouse," has been pretty popular lately. And until recently, I had to be reminded we're talking about the animal fox, because anyone could have told you we've already let a fox guard decent journalism for decades. And he ate it. Except that phrase has become much more relevant nowadays since Trump is about to make the pork industry responsible for inspecting itself. The USDA wants to modernize the industry by speeding up slaughter lines and replacing federal inspectors who check for tainted meat with plant workers, which sounds like a bad idea, but honestly, I don't know why everyone's freaking out so much. Any responsible person believes in the power of self-regulation. Like me, I know that I can have no more than one glass of wine before shit goes off the rails. Like I said earlier, I can only have 4 glasses of wine before shit goes off the rails. Wait. Bartender! How much are your rails? Why the fuck am I bleeding? Oh, wait. This is sriracha. Wait, is this a Chipotle?
Yes, and we're closed.
Wait, do you sell wine here?
No!
Okay, now I'm worried these pork plants might not be in the best hands. Mostly because the USDA already tried a version of what they're proposing, and just like my sobriety, it didn't work out. The USDA is basing their proposal on a pilot study where they reduced the number of federal inspectors at 5 slaughterhouses. These 5 accounted for only 0.8% of over 600 USDA-inspected hog plants. Yet of the top 10 U.S. hog plants earning the most food safety and animal welfare citations in the period of fiscal years 2008 to 2011, 3 were enrolled in the pilot program. By far, the most cited slaughterhouse in the United States over that period was a pilot plant. So the USDA knew this idea wouldn't be safe, but they went full steam ahead anyway? Well, it wouldn't be America if we didn't do something based on bad intelligence that ruined people's lives. And if you don't think that's true, then you probably think the initials WMD are internet slang for white man dancing. Although, not gonna lie, I do have a Google alert for that in my phone. Bless his heart.
Bless his heart indeed.
In fact, animal slaughterhouses are probably the last industry that needs less oversight and a faster operation. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, meatpacking workers are injured at rates that are more than 2.4 times higher than the national average for all industries. And pig slaughterhouse juggernauts, like Smithfield Foods, have come under fire for inhumane practices, such as crating female pigs in tight spaces, a practice Smithfield Foods claimed they ended a decade earlier. Plus, after Hurricane Florence devastated parts of North Carolina, literally drowning pigs in their own shit, Smithfield is how the rest of the country learned that the predominant method of handling hog waste in North Carolina is collecting it in open-air pits that are emptied by spraying liquid excrement on farm fields, which then wafts over an entire town. Imagine potty training your 2-year-old and fertilizing your neighborhood with his poop. Or if you're from New Jersey, just imagine an allegedly potty-trained adult man doing the same thing.
People are now calling him the pooper intendant. A Monmouth County superintendent is busted for defecating on or near another school district's track and field.
Hello.
Fuck. I should probably change it to white man defecating now. But if acting on bad intelligence is uniquely American, then so is expecting corporations to police themselves when they have no intention of doing so. After all, we're doing it now for nuclear power plants, oil rigs, and most recently our planes when, after 2 Boeing 737 MAX 8 planes crashed, killing everyone on board, it was found that the FAA allowed Boeing to handle much of the safety certification process, and Congress supported doing so. Our government is so used to handing over responsibility to companies beholden to profit that the US was the last country to ground the planes, which convinces me that the only thing that would have recalled these planes faster is if they were made out of romaine lettuce. Because it only took a few people getting E. coli to make us cancel salad as if it was Louis C.K. and showed its dick to other people without consent. But to be honest, eating more vegetables like lettuce and less meat is what everyone should be doing. Animal agriculture and the literal shit pools surrounding them release an insane amount of methane that fuels the very greenhouse gases causing climate catastrophe. But USDA's decision to kill animals faster and make us sicker shows yet again that when it comes to making money at the expense of our safety, there is no bottom. And if we're gonna fight this, then there should at least be no bottom to this. Come on. Come on. Okay, I need at least a few drops to forget I heard the word pooper intendant. Reporting from the USDA, Natalie McGill, Redacted Tonight.
That's our show, but get more with my free weekly podcast, Common Censored. You can get it on iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher every single